Will Crimson Desert run on these handhelds? We'll be testing it on the Xbox Ally, the R.O.G Ally, due to popular request, the Xbox Ally X, and the Legion Go 2. Oh, and for those of you that can't get the game to run on the Xbox Ally X, I'm going to show you how to do it in this video.
Alright, it's time to pay the 128KB bills for today's totally impartial video sponsor, and that's tomtoc. And today we're lucky enough to introduce the brand new tomtoc G50 sling bag, and this really does have a few tricks up its sleeve if you're someone who, unlike me, actually takes their handhelds out of the house. Now, travelling with your new Xbox Ally can be a nerve-wracking nightmare. You don't just carry the console, you might need a massive power brick, the cables, earplugs, a power bank, and if you just throw all of that into a normal backpack, your expensive handheld is going to get crushed against a water bottle, your screen might get scratched, and those joysticks are going to be flattened. It honestly makes me feel a bit sick. This is where something like the G50 comes in. It's a purpose-built universal gaming sling designed specifically to handle the size of modern, chunky handhelds. You're getting a dedicated padded main compartment that fits basically everything on the market, but there is an absolute game changer about this. If you remember the tomtoc Go2 hardshell case that we showed off recently, the G50 sling is engineered so perfectly that you can put your R.O.G Xbox Ally X inside that hardshell case and then slide the entire thing into this sling bag. It all fits flawlessly. You're getting a double layered tank level protection, and you still have extra room in the front compartments for all of your chargers and accessories that you would ever want. It's made from a spill resistant fabric, you've got premium YKK zippers, and the strap is incredibly comfortable even when the bag is fully loaded. Personally, I do love how stealthy this black version is. It doesn't scream I have an expensive gaming console in here, it just looks premium, everyday, kind of just like a casual bag. So if you want the ultimate all-in-one travel setup for your handhelds, then this is it. Hit the link in the description to check out the brand new tomtoc G50 sling bag, and by doing so you'll be directly supporting what we do here at 128KB. And of course, massive thanks to tomtoc for sponsoring this video.
Alrighty, let's start with the Xbox Ally, our lowest powered device in this list. Just be aware that shader compilation takes an absolute age, and also the first boot of this game, which is this one that I've just loaded right now, took probably nearly 20 minutes for the game to actually start, like after shader compilation. So in all, a good 25 minutes or so. Like, it was a long time. I thought it was crashed. I was gonna like hard reset it, and then I was like, you know what, now let's just leave it. And here we are actually in the game. So let's just go through the settings quickly. So straight away, I'm showing you I am plugged in. So this is like best case scenario. We're maxing out the APU at 20 watts. I do not, oh no, I do have CPU boost on. I'm actually going to turn that off. So I'm going to turn CPU boost off because I don't believe this is a CPU heavy game. And if we just quickly go to Armory Crate, I have 6 gigabytes of VRAM. So you can see we are running at 720p because that's pretty much what you want to be running this at. And of course, we're absolutely going to need to upscale it. So yes, we have AMD FSR upscaling on. I've set it to performance. Of course, you can go to ultra performance, balance, or whatever. This is just seeing if the game will run. This is not the best settings. We're just going to go through some, right? There's actually a load of graphics options here. You've got minimum, which we're going to test first. We've got low, medium, but bear in mind that automatically flicks on ray tracing when you go from low to medium, high, ultra, and cinematic. Like, there is so many options, it's ridiculous. Minimum, there we go. So you can see we're around the sort of 30 FPS stood still. The whole reason I'm choosing this area is because this is the first like town. It's quite demanding. So you can see we're not even hitting 30 FPS now. We're below 30 FPS on absolute all minimum with FSR 3 performance. But I mean, for some people, maybe this is playable. This is also with frame gen off. So let's just turn frame gen on, shall we, and see how that goes. So frame gen's under video. Let's go to FSR frame gen. Yeah, we want that, and apply. So now we have frame gen on. Got to give it a second to stop like bugging out. And we're about 50 FPS, but wow, does it feel like a million miles of input latency. Like, it feels clunky. Like, it is bad, man. Like, that's bad. And also minimum. Like, look at the trees. Can you see the trees? Like, on minimum settings, they flicker. Like, they flicker a lot. I don't know if it will show on camera very well, but There is a lot of flickering and sort of visual artifacting going on there. Frame gen makes this feel very, very sort of sluggish. So we're actually hitting around a 60 FPS. Just bear in mind, realistically, you're still getting the inputs of like sub 30 FPS here. Oh, you can see that stuttering and freezing. In my short testing before I started filming here, I found on no matter what device we're using, frame gen just doesn't seem very good. I actually prefer playing at a lower frame rate with it off. And you can see the game is now just kind of like soft crashed from me pressing the menu button. So let's go over to settings and turn off the frame gen just here. So frame gen's now off. It immediately feels more responsive, even though we're at the same sort of base frame rate as when like frame gen was on. And it doesn't seem to be getting the weird clunky freezy camera either when you turn frame gen off. So like I said, even though we're actually only around 30 FPS, this is a better way of playing than putting frame gen on. I would dare say there's probably a bug with the frame generation and they probably need to smooth that out. But yeah, I would be choosing to play no frame generation and like this. But it's playable. Look, it is playable. I mean, whether or not you want to play like this is down to you. If you've only just got an Xbox Ally and that's it, well then, yeah, like this area is really demanding. Like I said, as we go out into like the woods and stuff, the frame rate will creep up a bit. I'm seeing like up to 35 FPS there, so 30 to 35 FPS. It's just that area back there is very demanding. We're in the sort of like low 30s, high 29s, you know, like the high 20s, dipping right down there. But again, it is playable. You could play like this if you really wanted to. Now, of course, we could actually just go ahead and put ultra performance on. It's going to look awful, but we can try it. So ultra performance, there we go. Mid 30s. I saw a dip to 20s there. Yeah, but it's about the same. It's actually about the same. Peaks are higher. I'm seeing 40 FPS jump up there, but just bear in mind this looks like a water painting. I would not recommend playing like this. Now, I know I said I was going to do medium settings, but I totally am not on this one. It's just not going to handle it, is it? So let's go back to performance. Let's go to graphics and just hit low. Let's just try it on low. And that's it, right? Let's just try low, and immediately low settings looks so much better than minimum in terms of visuals. But like the performance is even worse, of course. Like the performance is now sat, I'm seeing like 23, 24 FPS there, up to 27. So this is not the way to play it. I mean, really, you need to be on minimum on this device and probably FSR ultra performance. And if that's your only way of playing it, and maybe you're playing, Xbox Play Anywhere or something like that, and you're just wanting to play this on the go, yes, you can play it. Just bear in mind it will look terrible. So yes, it does run on the base Xbox Ally, just not very well. And frame gen is just awful. I'd recommend turning that off. Okay, now let's try the R.O.G Ally. Now this is running Steam OS, so I just will tell you that. So your mileage may vary depending on whether you're running Windows. So I am on SteamOS. We've got 8 gigabytes of VRAM set in the BIOS for this, and I've got it maxed out on the maximum TDP on the slider in SteamOS. But for some reason in the game, now it's popping up. That's cool. So yeah, so you can see on here, I've got performance enabled, but down here I've got TDP limit 30 watts. Of course, I'm plugged in again. Now let's go into the game settings. Now I will say on SteamOS it looks a little bit weird. You might want to run this with Proton Experimental. What I actually had to do, it comes up with like a weird screen, but I could still get to the menu. And then I had to go to the resolution because it was on 4K for some reason, even though this screen is only 1080p. So I think there's some weird graphics driver like confliction going on here. Once I set it to 720p and then put the game on, then it was fine. So I'm actually on 720p here. I've got FSR 3, performance, no frame gen. Let's go over to graphics. Well, let's just put it on minimum to start with, right? Let's go minimum. This is just the stock thing right here. And you can see, give it a second to kick up just there. And for some weird reason, I'm getting worse performance than I was on low. Again, this could be like a SteamOS Proton issue because I did not change anything. I've just booted the game and kind of forced my way into it. So for some reason, we're at like 17, 18 FPS. Let's just double check, because a second ago it was getting 40 FPS before I started filming this section. So that's very weird. Right, there we go. So let's go back in here. Look, it's gone back to 4K. That's why we're getting 20 FPS. I'm quite surprised that it can do 20 FPS in 4K, if I'm quite honest. Let's go back to 720p and apply. Thank you. I don't want 4K. Oh, look at that. Yay. We're now at 50 FPS. That's actually really good. Like, that's actually really good for this section. 46 FPS. And we're only on FSR 3 performance, not ultra performance. But again, we are on minimum. So, you know, the trees and stuff look a little bit janky. Like I said, on the base Xbox Ally, minimum graphic settings just looks horrible. So let's fix that. Let's go in and try low, which does look considerably better. Let's just go back to video to make sure we're not at 4K. Yep, there we go. We are at 720p again. Immediately looks a lot better, and we're still in the 40s. We're getting like a solid 44 FPS here, 47. This is way better than the base Ally, like a lot better. We now dipped down into the high 30s here, but again, way playable in comparison to the base Xbox Ally, which is considerably weaker than this device. But yeah, so this is more than playable. Bear in mind, I am at 720p, but you can bump it up and mess with the settings. At least you know the game is running right. So I'll just keep it at 720p here. But you can see decent performance. Again, SteamOS is more lightweight than Windows. You will see better frame rates and stuff on these older devices with SteamOS. That's exactly why I've installed it on here, because it's like, now it's probably the way to go if you're playing games like this, single player games and stuff, and not, you know, anti-cheat stuff. But anyway, I think that's more than playable. Let's just give it a cheeky little go up. Well, let's just try first the frame gen, because I think frame gen's broken because it feels horrible in this game. When you apply it, it takes a second for it to kind of like do its thing. Now the screen's going, yeah, look at that. It's like a bit stuttery. We're up into the 70 FPS, but man, it feels clunky. The input lag like has doubled, and it feels worse than like 40 FPS without it. Like, I really do not like frame gen on here. It's like someone's put butter around my joysticks. It is disgusting. Do not use it. Just, you know, just don't bother. So let's turn that off, and let's just feel how it feels now again. Yeah, immediately feels more responsive. Like, it really does. Frame gen just is balked in this game. So yeah, don't use that. Let's just quickly try medium settings. So let's go over to graphics and go to medium. Bear in mind, if you want to try medium, turn off ray tracing, otherwise you're going to brick it, because I did that earlier off camera, and yeah, I had to force restart my device. But anyway, so now we are on medium settings, and we're at the low 30s. We're at like 30 FPS. No dips down to 20. Maybe when I turn this camera. No. Oh, surprising. Yeah, so like low 30s, mid 30s. Again, like, this is actually playable if you want to play like this. No idea what was going on with that weird like rain thing. Can you see that? That's a bit odd. But yeah, okay, whatever. I would say the best way to play this is just everything on low, 720p with FSR 3 at performance, right? And then you're actually going to get decent frame rates, and it's playable. Like, it's actually playable. Avoid minimum where you can, avoid frame gen where you can, and run SteamOS on this thing if you've got one. Highly recommend it. It is playable, and there you go. So at least you can boot up into the game and actually tinker away to your heart's content there. It is playable on the base R.O.G Ally with the Z1 Extreme with SteamOS. And now we have the Xbox Ally X. Wow, what a whirlwind. Reddit is full of people saying that it won't run on this device. I too have refilmed this section because I too couldn't get this to run either. And we put it down to the recent GPU driver. And so I uninstalled that and reinstalled the old one, and look, it works. So before we test the game on the Xbox Ally X, let me run through how to remove the driver for you. So you want to back out of Xbox full screen experience, go to Windows Desktop, then go to your browser and search DDU. So that's Display Driver Uninstaller. Download the latest version of that, extract it, but don't do anything yet. Don't run it yet. Now you want to go to the support page for the Xbox Ally X. Find the drivers page, scroll down until you see the latest driver, and then at the bottom it will say like see more or whatever, and then you'll be able to see the driver before that, which I believe was in November. So look for the driver below the one that just came out like a couple of days ago, right? Download that older driver, and now what you want to do is turn your Wi-Fi off, because what we don't want to happen is you uninstall the driver and then Windows automatically force some bogus driver on. We don't want that. So turn your Wi-Fi off. Now get your extracted DDU application, right-click it, and run as admin. Now, it will say, you need to run this in safe mode. Just ignore that. It totally works. Without that, don't even bother. Just do it like as I'm telling you. I've got proof right here that it works, so just trust me, all right? So just run DDU. On the right-hand side, it will say audio or graphics, so there'll be a little drop-down. Click on that, click on graphics, and then it will automatically select AMD graphics. At the top, on the top left, you want to click clean and restart. So just click that and then do not touch it. Just ignore it. It will do a bunch of stuff. It will make it look all funky. Your screen resolution will mess up, but we're going to fix it. Don't worry. Once it's done, it will say you need to restart. Restart. You will restart back into Xbox full screen experience. So back to the desktop again. Navigate to your folder. Find the graphics driver you just downloaded, the old one, right-click on it and click Run as Admin. Follow the prompts and then you're good to go. If you want to, you can restart again. I didn't bother and it's running totally fine for me. But yeah, it's that new driver that is just completely bogus. So let's get rid of that, do what I've just shown you, and you'll be able to go into the game. No need to refund the game or anything like that. It totally works. It was a driver issue. Now, let's check out the game. So I'm going to do what I'm doing with all of these and basically just going at 720p to start with. But just to show you, I've got plugged in turbo mode. So we're going full whack here, 35 watts. I've also got CPU boost off because we don't need it on because it's not a very CPU demanding game. So we want all that power going to the GPU so that it can utilize more of it, right? So I've got the screen resolution still at 1080p. And then if we go into the game, oh, and bear in mind when you first launch the game, it will have to recompile shaders, and also it takes about 5 to 10 minutes to boot on first boot into the game. So just hit launch and play and just leave it, and it will boot into it, as mine has. So now we're going into the settings. I've got it on full screen, 720p, FSR 3, performance, frame gen off. Graphics, we're going to start with minimum. It's going to look absolutely terrible, but this is going to be really good performance. If you wanted even more performance, you could put FSR onto ultra performance, but we're pretty much at 60 FPS here. And for Windows, that's pretty good. It's pretty good. We will be testing SteamOS on the Legion Go 2 next, but there we go. So we've actually got into the game and we're sat at about 50 to 60 FPS. And this area that I keep running through on all of these is because it's super demanding. This little camp here tanks the performance. Elsewhere, you will get better performance, but look, so we're in the like low 50s just here. If I actually run out into the world, it's going to go up in frame rate. We've hit 60 FPS now. We've got 64 FPS now. So the frame rate will go up. 66, 65. It will go up. It's just because this area is really demanding because of all the stuff that's going on here. So you can get a good 60 FPS here, but it looks absolutely terrible. Like if we go back to the end down here, those trees, like when you move the screen, those trees are like flickering, artifacting all over the place because of the upscaling and because we're on minimum settings, and it just looks terrible. But it is a really smooth experience. So if you don't mind it looking absolutely terrible, then there we go. Before we move on to the low settings, I will just put frame gen on. I've been doing this on each handheld just to show everyone that frame gen sucks in this game, unfortunately, because 60 FPS base or even 50 would be a great starting point for frame gen. But let's just put frame gen on. It will sort of freeze for like half a second or so, and then once it's done, we'll be able to go back into the game like now. So let's just give it a sec to sort of sort itself out. The frame rate is jumping up now. We're in like 90, 100 FPS. Oh yeah, baby, 100 FPS. But man, look at it. Like it's jittery. The like input lag is really bad. I mean, it's dealable if you don't mind it, but for me, like it's not nice. FrameGen usually just plays like the native frame rate, right? So it should still feel like 50 FPS, but it doesn't. It feels like 30 FPS as opposed to 50. So for me, I don't like it. It's also a bit stuttery. Like when you pan the camera hard, it's a little bit, I don't know, latency, weird artifacts going on. I do not like it. I'd much rather just play at like 50 to 60 FPS with FrameGen off. So I'm going to turn that off. But if you want to use it, then go ahead, like be my guest. But straight away, feels way better now. Feels a lot better. And we're only in like 50s FPS wise, right? So there we go. So this bit feels much better, but it still looks crap, doesn't it? Like, let's be honest, it looks terrible. So let's fix that. So let's go to settings, let's go over to graphics and change it to low. I'm just going back over here to make sure it's still on 720p, which it is, and I'm going to hit apply, and then I'm going to go back out into the game, and immediately it looks so much better. Like, it looks so much better. The trees don't look like some weird artifact in Minecraft thing going on. They're still not amazing, but it's a big step up between the minimum graphics, and we're at 60. It will drop down here now. So we're at low 50s now. Oh, high 40s, so 47, 46, so 45 to 50 FPS in that built-up area. But like I said earlier, this is like worst-case scenario. So if you're in a city or something with loads of NPCs, you look at the high 40s, which is fine, as long as we're sort of just over that VRR bracket. And to be fair, this has low frame rate compensation, so even if we dip below 47 hertz, frames, you know, which is the VRR window where it starts on this screen, it doesn't really matter too much because LFC will kick in, and it does feel super smooth. And I much prefer the visuals of this because it just looks so much better. Minimum is really bad, like it looks terrible, whereas low looks really, really cool. So I'm going to keep it on low. No, let's just try medium really quickly before we change the resolution. So let's go to medium, but if you're going to try medium, bear in mind ray tracing will force on, so turn that off, otherwise it will brick your system. I've tried it on other devices, so just trust me there. So now we're on medium, and it looks really good, but I mean, we're at like 50 FPS out here, so it means we're going to be well into the 30s in here. So let's run in here. Oh, it's not too bad. Oh yeah, high 30s. It's not too bad. That's actually totally playable. 720p, FSR 3 performance on medium. That's playable. 40 FPS. It will go up as we get out of here. But you know what? I would probably take low because it still looks good. So let's just go back to the settings. I'm going to change it back to low. Right? I'm going to just hit apply. And then we're going to go and put this to 1080p. And I'm going to leave it on performance and just see how it goes. So 1080p, FSR3 performance, FrameGen off, all low. Let's see how we go. Immediately, this looks so much nicer. This looks so much better. This looks super clear. Really, really nice. Like this immediately just, I would be happy playing this, even though we're only at like 45 FPS, which is crazy. Almost 50. I reckon it would be high 30s once we go up into this like mad built up area here. So let's just see. 40s, yeah, high 30s as expected. That's totally playable. Honestly, 40 FPS on this, fluctuating up to like 50 FPS. This is where I would play this. 1080p, FSR3 performance on low. Like it's really, really nice. The visuals are so much more clarity. The trees don't look horrible. The graphics look nice. The input latency is good at 40 FPS, you know, like it feels nice. This is how I'd play it. So it absolutely does work on the Xbox Ally X, providing that you get rid of the latest graphics driver. How hilarious is it that we've waited literal months and months and months for a new GPU driver, and they release it like 2 days before the biggest game, like anticipated game drops, and it breaks the game. That is absolutely hilarious. But yeah, we've got it running. There we go. Let's move on to the Legion Go 2. And now we're on to the final device in this list, the Lenovo Legion Go 2. And yes, I am running SteamOS. I pressed the wrong button. There we go. We're in SteamOS right here. I do have it on a custom profile. I have 16 gigabytes set to VRAM. And if I go down here, you can see that I have maxed this out. We are plugged in at 35 watts. We're going to go with 720p just to start off, right? Because that's what the other devices that we actually got the game running on were using. We're going to use FSR 3, FSR Performance, and no frame gen. Let's go over to the graphics and just do minimum, right? So that's that. So this is on par with the settings of the other devices, and we're nearly at 70 FPS. So you can see this device is far more powerful and capable than the other ones that we've tested it out on. But bear in mind, this is the worst case scenario of playing. Unless we put it on ultra performance, it looks pretty horrendous, if I might say myself. But it's a very smooth experience, like 60 FPS just here in the most demanding bit that I've got to so far, and that we've been testing on the other handhelds, which, you know, they were getting a lot less frame rate than pretty much a good 60 here. Now, I do want to try frame gen before we move on, because with the other devices, frame gen just felt horrendous. So let's just try it, because we've got a really good starting point of like pretty much 60 FPS. So let's just turn frame gen on, and all the settings are the same. Let's just give it a sec. Boom, we're like 100 FPS now. Oh, it's dipping down. No, give it a second. Yeah, 100 FPS. But man, frame gen in this just feels so sluggish. You're meant to be able to like feel the same latency as the native like frame rate, right? So we should be getting the input response of about 60 FPS, which we were at. We have broken 100 FPS here, so it's totally playable at 100 FPS on the Legion Go 2 if you want it to look like a potato. But I just don't like the frame gen, man. Like, it feels really delayed. Like, it feels so much worse. It feels so much nicer just being straight on like 60 FPS. So let's just turn off frame gen and go back to the game. Like, the camera is the one that you immediately notice just feels responsive, as well as the movement, right? So I would say turn frame gen off, because it just feels horrible. Like, it introduces so much more like latency there, even though it shouldn't. It should feel the same as this. But yeah, we're in the like sort of in the worst area just here, like sort of low to mid 50s all the way up to 60s, right? So more than playable right here. But we are on minimum, and it just looks absolutely terrible. I don't recommend using minimum graphics settings if you can help it. So let's just flip over to low. And this immediately makes the game look so much nicer. Like, so much nicer. And there's almost no performance here. Like, it's crazy. We're in the sort of high 50s there, breaking 60 FPS now. Now, this is playable. Bear in mind, we are at 720p, of course, being upscaled with performance mode. And we're now actually dipping down into the 40s in this really, like, hard area. So there is a big difference between minimum and low. But to be perfectly honest, low, like, minimum looks so bad. I would choose to run low and take a bit of an FPS hit here rather than that. Now, of course, this is not like optimal settings, and you can see like VRAM wise, we're not using much at all. So VRAM wise, we're using like less than 4 gigabytes, which is mad when you think I've assigned 16 gig just here. So I've got 16 gig to play with, and that's crazy. So let's just bump it up to medium. So let's go medium. Remember, ray tracing is forced on, so let's turn that off. So this is medium settings. And of course, this is just the stock preset. Immediately looks a lot nicer. There's less like artifacting in the trees when you move the camera. It's not like breaking up into like Minecraft pixels and artifacts, right? So this is far nicer to play, and well, visually is far more visually pleasing. But you can see in this area, we're at the sort of like mid 40s. So I reckon we're going to hit 30 FPS. Yep, there we go. So we're like 35 FPS in here, 33 up to 40. Not too bad, considering that the Legion Go 2 has a VRR screen of 30 to 144, so it actually just feels the same. If you turn that FPS counter off that I've got there, you wouldn't even notice that we're like 30 FPS, so that is more than playable just here. But I just want to try something, still staying at 720p. Let's go over to low settings, and let's just put texture quality, let's just for a laugh put it on cinematic. right? So I'm going to go cinematic texture quality. I'm not going to mess with anything else. I'm just leaving cinematic texture quality just to see what happens. You can see here video still 720p FSR 3 performance, and let's jump into it again. Almost 60 FPS. And the VRAM's only gone from 3.9 gig used to 4.3 gig used, which is absolute madness. So you can play at 720p cinematic if you just do textures, right? Now, you will totally be able to optimize this game with a really good settings guide. I haven't had the time because I've been trying all these different handhelds for this video to go through and actually find what we want to turn on and off. If there's enough demand for it in the comments down below, then maybe I'll do a follow-up video of like the best settings for the Legion Go 2 specifically, because this device is the one that it runs well on. But bear in mind, I am running SteamOS, so please take this with a pinch of salt. If you're running Windows, your performance will not be as good as what you're seeing right now in this video. But regardless, let's leave it on that weird graphic settings that I've got. So I've got it on all low bar texture quality on cinematic. Bear in mind that's maxed out on texture quality, right? Because I've got the VRAM for it. Let's just change this up to native. So let's go 1200p. So let's keep going. 1920 by 1200p. Let's just see how big of a hit it is. We're still on FSR 3 performance. I reckon in the 30s. Oh, wow. Okay, that looks so much better. Like, whoa, this actually looks good. This looks better than the PlayStation footage. We're at 30 FPS, as I expected. Standing still, you can get 40 FPS. Running around, 30 FPS. Honestly, this is playable. I'd say this is playable. This is playable. Like, I know we're in the 30s, but look, 45 FPS. It's going to dip in the most savage area just here down to the high 30s. Well, low 30s, I mean. But like I said, VRR window from 30 to 144 hertz here. If I turned that FPS counter off, I wouldn't even notice it. It is so smooth. Frame gen is a no-go. So last try, let's just put frame gen on, especially with these lower frame rates. This is going to play absolutely horribly. I just know it. It just chugs. Look at that. Like, it is awful. Like, frame gen, what are you doing? Their frame gen implementation is absolute ass. I do not recommend using that. Look at the background. Can you see it stuttering around everywhere? Yeah, okay, it's saying 50 FPS, but now it feels like 10 FPS. Like, it is horrible. That is absolutely useless. Turn that right off. Do one. Thank you very much. So let's turn off frame gen. Oh, look, it's all smooth. Look at the background. Can you see how smooth that is? And we're at like 40 FPS. Let's go back into a hard area. This is, I would actually play like this, just telling everyone right now. I know we're in the low 30s just here, but seriously, if I just turn off the overlay, look at that. That is smooth. And we're at like 30 FPS here. Smooth, no stuttering. Nothing. Like, that is smooth. And as we go out into the open like world area, the performance actually gets better because there's less NPCs and stuff going around. So this is actually decent. How do I get my horse up? Like that. Come here. Where's my horse? Hey, there he is. Get on him. Come on. Get on the horse. Come back here, you little. Come on. Yeah, look at that. Hey, let's just go for a little trot around. Remember, I'm at native 1200p FSR 3 performance. So you could even go to ultra performance and get better like performance again with all low settings bar texture quality at cinematic. This is great. This actually looks legitimately amazing. I'm really surprised by how good this looks and how good it's running on the Legion Go 2. Bear in mind I am on SteamOS, so I'll be getting much better performance than if I was running Windows. This looks great. I'm actually going to play it like this. I'm sorry. Like, I'm sorry if you can't deal with 30 FPS. It's all in your head until you've experienced like variable refresh rate. Like the VRR on this screen is amazing. This is totally playable for me. So, yeah, I think this is an absolute win. Does it work on the Legion Go 2? Hell yeah. Look, it works amazing on the Legion Go 2. Like, I'm going to go and put off editing this video because I want to play like this. I'm rambling now because I'm really excited by how good this is running on the Legion Go 2. Yeah, anyway, that's enough of that one. So there we go. Does it run on these devices? Yes. It runs on the Xbox Ally. Yes, it runs on the R.O.G Ally. And of course, it does work on the Xbox Ally X once you reinstall the old GPU driver. Does it work on the Legion Go 2? Hell yes, it does. It runs amazing on the Legion Go 2. So there we go. Hopefully that's answered all your questions. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments whilst you're down there. Like this video, subscribe, become a member, and you get to chat to us over on our private Discord and enjoy this game if you can. I mean, some people have mixed opinions. I've literally played like half an hour of it other than testing it, so I've got no opinion on the game just yet, but it looks great on the Legion Go 2. Anyway, I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.